As our story begins, we find an elderly grandmother seated with her two grandchildren. And so, the two grandchildren playfully pressed their grandmother, reminding her, "Just like you promised us last night before bed, tell us the story of the giant Nandamitra." And so, at this hour, the grandmother continued to prepare the roti for their evening meal. Knowing she needed a little more time to finish preparing their meal, the grandmother suggested, "Why don't you two go see what Grandpa is doing? He's probably watching the news on TV." And with that, she gently directed them towards the living room. And so, as the previous scene fades, we now see the two grandchildren settled beside their grandfather. After a short while, the grandmother, carrying the stack of freshly made roti, came towards the living room where her grandchildren and husband were. "Okay, enough TV. Turn it off and let's all come and eat," the grandmother said. And at this moment, the two young children repeated their earlier plea, "Please tell us the story of the giant Nandamitra." And so, after serving the meal to her two grandchildren and her husband, the grandmother retrieved an old book and began to tell the story in this way. Grandma is showing a map from this old book, and at the same time, it's taking us on a journey to the trading complex of Anuradhapura in the 3rd century BC. We can see several instances of very efficient trade taking place. Among them, there's a scene of a slightly wealthy person coming to a shop to buy goods for the market. The shopkeeper is having the conversation with this person.
"It's a miracle, I tell you. Thanks to King, we have enough food to eat now. We should all show our gratitude to the King. King Asela had a new canal built, and now to our paddy field are getting plenty of water."
Yes, I understand that completely. I have great respect for King Asela's sense of justice. King Asela never takes sides in a trial and does anything unfair.
After this conversation, it takes us to the royal palace. Here, we can see King Asela, who is engaged in a discussion with the Council of Ministers in the royal palace. We can see that King Asela is in the midst of a discussion with his ministers, outlining his vision for improving the irrigation infrastructure. Similarly, we can observe that agriculture in Anuradhapura was conducted with great prosperity. Being satisfied with King Asela's rule, the people within the kingdom are living very happily. Amidst a picturesque village enveloped in lush greenery, we see a woman giving birth in a humble mud hut, her cries echoing through the tranquil surroundings. Yet, amidst the raging storm, a fleet of ships can be seen battling the tempestuous sea. Amidst the peaceful aftermath of childbirth, the woman held her newborn child, her eyes filled with love. The wise old woman, a witness to this sacred moment, offered words of wisdom to the new mother.
"I've given birth to more children than there are hairs on my head. I can definitely say that this child is different, a very strong child. I felt like you should protect this child as if it were your own eye."
So, this is none other than the birth of the protagonist of our story today. Next, we see a large fleet of naval ships coming towards Sri Lanka from South India, having conquered the storm. And aboard those ships, none other than the invading King Alara and his army.
Your Majesty, does the recent cyclone signify a bad omen?
General, we must not let a cyclone weaken our nation. For the survival of our people, we must regain control of the Anuradhapura kingdom. We need to overthrow King Asela and capture Anuradhapura. After that, we'll invade King Kavanti's kingdom and unite this country under my rule. General, I am doing all this for the sake of our people."
With a unified voice, the king's army roared, "Long live King Alara!" as they advanced steadily towards the shores of Sri Lanka. Once King Alara and his troops disembark, they will establish a temporary camp and immediately begin devising a strategy to conquer the Anuradhapura kingdom. During this time, the family held a naming ceremony for the newborn. As a tribute to their strong brother, they named the baby Nandi Mithra. Simultaneously, King Alara is devising a devastating, surprise assault on the Anuradhapura kingdom. He is marshalling his most formidable forces to spearhead the invasion. With their forces thus prepared, King Alara's invading army began its relentless advance towards King Asela's Anuradhapura kingdom. With a thunderous roar, King Alara's army unleashed a devastating surprise attack on King Asela's forces, catching them completely off guard. Despite having a chance to escape, King Asela courageously opted to stand his ground and defend his kingdom, even at the cost of his own life. With a battle strategy that had been employed by the mightiest empires, King Alara swiftly terrorized the Anuradhapura kingdom, crushing the Sinhalese resistance and consolidating his iron grip on the entire realm.
From this day forth, I rule the Anuradhapura kingdom. Soon, all of Sri Lanka will be mine.
While history unfolded, Nandamitra, our protagonist, was quietly crossing the threshold into his playful years. While Nandamitra played happily, his parents thought about the work waiting for them in the paddy field. As he ran around with energy, they talked quietly about the hard tasks they had to do.
"I need to get to the fields early tomorrow. Please, keep a close watch on Nandamitra. He's gotten into so much trouble lately, I'm worried about what he might do if left unsupervised."
How can you possibly finish everything by yourself? I wish I could help, but what am I supposed to do with Nandamitra?
After talking, Nandamitra's parents made a hard choice because their fields were close to the house. To keep him safe, they gently tied him to the grinding stone at home. The next morning, before the sun rose fully, Nandamitra's parents worked hard to move the heavy grinding stone to a safer place near their fields. There, they carefully tied Nandamitra to it. With that done, both parents headed to the fields to begin their work. Soon after, Nandamitra's parents heard a strange scraping sound, like something being dragged across the ground, coming from the fields. Driven by a sudden, sharp fear, the image of little Nandamitra alone at home flashing through their minds, they dropped their work and ran. What they saw next was so shocking, so unbelievable, that they stood frozen in disbelief. The sight was surreal. Little Nandamitra, inching along, dragging the massive grinding stone behind him, crawling towards the sound of their voices. His parents stared, transfixed. their minds unable to reconcile what they were seeing with reality. Now, our story shifts. We move towards the land of Magama. In this period, the intelligent king Kavantisa held dominion over the kingdom of Magama. Knowing full well the actions of King Alara towards King Asela, the wise king Kavantisa summoned his council of ministers. To them, he issued the following instructions.
My loyal and patriotic ministers, engaging Alara in war at this moment would be far from a wise course of action. Our priority must be to thoroughly understand all of our enemy's weaknesses, while simultaneously preparing ourselves to meet any form of hostile invasion. Triple the security within the Magama kingdom, strengthen our intelligence network, and dispatch spies throughout the land this very day.
Meanwhile, within the Magma kingdom, as those events unfolded, little Nandimithra, with his characteristic mischief, had grown noticeably young. The scene now focuses on young Nandimithra, tied securely to a cluster of bamboo stalks. Nearby, in a paddy field, Nandimitra's parents working alongside several other villagers.
I had to tie young Nandamitra to the bamboo clump today. That's why you hear him yelling. He'll quiet down in a bit.
Just as this conversation unfolded, Nandimitra's uncle, Mithra, arrived at their location, riding one of King Alara's horses.
Brother-in-law, from today onwards, I serve in King Alara's army. What do you think of this magnificent steed? Impressive, isn't it?
Indeed, what becomes clear from this story is that King Alara strategically utilized the strong individuals within our land to further his rule. As their conversation continued, a sight that stunned them all unfolded. Dragging an enormous clump of bamboo, little Nandimitra was making his way towards them. Oh God! Not even in the tales of my ancestors have I heard of such a thing, he cried out, his eyes wide with wonder. A unified cry of astonishment rippled through the paddy field as the villagers gazed in sheer disbelief.
Hey, brother-in-law, once this kid grows up a bit, let me have him. I can introduce him to King Alara. The king really likes strong guys like this. The king has entrusted me with many royal duties. I must depart now.
With those words, Mithra mounted his horse and rode away. In his ambition to further extend his dominion across the country, King Alara shrewdly incorporated increasing numbers of Sinhalese men into his service, leading to a swift expansion of his military strength. Demonstrating his astute leadership, King Alara also bestowed the rank of commander upon strong individuals such as Mithra within his military forces. During this time, King Alara and the invaders who had come with him to the island of Lanka plundered the Buddhist sacred sites of the Sinhalese people, inflicting various hardships upon them. Thus, time slowly passed in the Anuradhapura kingdom under Alara's dominion. Simultaneously, in the southern region of Lanka, King Kavantisa, ruler of the Ruhunu kingdom centered around Magampura, was receiving numerous complaints regarding Alara's rule. In response to these reports, King Kavantisa immediately ordered the security along his borders to be doubled, even tripled. Furthermore, he commanded a significant increase in recruitment into the royal service to strengthen his army. As this era progressed, Nandimitra, surrounded by the love of his kin, matured into a young man.
Mother, there's no reason why I couldn't go with uncle to serve King Alara. However, I have absolutely no respect for how some of the king's officials treat the Sinhalese people and how they destroy our temples and monasteries.
Alright, my dear son, you spend some time working alongside your uncle. After that, you can think about serving the nation and its people.
Following this conversation, the scene shifts to Nandimitra in his bedchamber. The weight of potentially serving a ruler like Alara, one who stands against his own people, settles heavily upon him, a deep sense of regret washing over him. The following day, Nandimitra, through his uncle, began his service under King Alara.
There's a great journey before you, boy. And for that journey, you must learn the Angama that I possess knowledge of. You must learn it well.
Having spoken those encouraging words, Mithra, the uncle, took it upon himself to teach Nandamitra every aspect of the Angam martial art that he knew. As time passed, Nandamitra made it a regular practice to visit and worship the Buddhist sacred sites in Anuradhapura after his duties were done. One day, after completing his shift, he went to his usual sacred place of worship. The moment his eyes fell upon the scene, a furious rage seized Nandamitra, as if possessed by a vengeful spirit. The sight of the desecrated Buddha statues and the ravaged temple property ignited an uncontrollable fury within him.
Very well, I will find the one who did this. No matter their rank or power, I will teach them a lesson they will carry to their grave.
With this resolve burning within him, Nandamitra swiftly concluded his duties the following day. Determined to find those responsible for the desecration, he concealed himself near the sacred site, beginning his vigil. At that moment, Nandamitra observed several of King Alara's soldiers approaching the temple. Observing the group of soldiers intently from his hiding place, Nandamitra realized with chilling certainty that these were the very men who had committed the previous day's desecration. Moving with lightning speed, Nandamitra unleashed a swift and brutal assault, striking down every soldier present. Afterward, Nandamitra quietly removed their bodies from the sacred grounds. The next day, he departed for his royal duties, acting as if nothing had occurred. Within a few days, King Alara became aware of the dwindling number of his soldiers. Reacting swiftly, he launched an immediate investigation into their disappearance. Upon hearing about the investigation, Nandamitra immediately explained everything to his uncle and then fled towards King Kavantisa's Ruhunu kingdom. Fleeing with haste, astride a horse taken from King Alara himself, Nandamitra was now crossing the border into the Ruhunu kingdom. Seeing Nandamitra approaching at great speed, King Kavantisa's border guards swiftly moved to intercept and halt him. Thereupon, the border guards questioned Nandamitra thus:
"Hey, you, who are you? What's the big hurry? Look like you've seen a ghost."
His chest heaving, sweat beading on his brow, Nandamitra slowed his breathing and spoke.
I come from the Anuradhapura kingdom. The situation there is dire. I need to meet King Kavantisa immediately.
Then, the border guards spoke, their voices a little louder, saying,
"It doesn't work that way. You can't just meet the king whenever you feel like it. There's a time for audiences. Before that, you need to explain this unrest you mentioned in the Anuradhapura kingdom."
Then, Nandamitra told them of the destruction of Anuradhapura's temples by Alara's soldiers, and confessed his own actions in retaliation. Hearing this account, the king's border guards decided to take Nandamitra to King Kavantisa. The scene now shifts to King Kavantisa. At this moment, his mind is occupied by the injustices inflicted upon the Buddhist monasteries and the Sinhalese people by King Alara. However, weighed down by the formidable military strength of Alara, he endured it all with deep sorrow. Just then, the soldiers brought Nandamitra to meet King Kavantisa. The king then addressed Nandamitra, asking him thus:
"Who are you? You appear to be remarkably strong. Where have you come from?"
Then, Nandamitra replied thus:
O king, I am Nandamitra. Mithra is my uncle. I come from Anuradhapura.
So you must be a skilled warrior like your uncle. Tell me then, why have you come to Ruhuna so suddenly?
Nandamitra then addressed the king, beginning to explain his urgent arrival.
Oh, your majesty, if things continue this way, the Buddhism in our land will be destroyed. The situation within the kingdom is truly tragic. I could not bear to silently witness such devastation.
I am aware of this myself. However, I endure it because of King Alara's formidable military strength.
Thus, the king responded to Nandamitra. Following this, Nandamitra recounted his escape from Anuradhapura and revealed all the details of his actions there to the king. Having heard of Nandimitra's daring actions and evident prowess, King Kavantisa addressed him thus. King Kavantisa then proceeded to clarify the details of the first test that Nandimitra would face, saying,
So Nandimitra, I believe you possess great strength, therefore your first test is this: to sharpen this blunt sword as much as you possibly can. Take your time and do it well.
Having given the task, the king left. Nandimitra, combining his immense physical power with his inherent skill, honed the blunt sword to a razor's edge, capable of cleaving through any metal with a single blow. Presently, the king approached Nandimitra, took the sword, and subjected it to a brief inspection.
Truly exceptional, Nandimitra. Your strength is beyond question. This blade could surely split even the mightiest mountain.
The scene now transitions to the royal playground. But our hero's trial does not end here. One more test remains. Now, our hero's second trial was a truly terrifying ordeal. 16 measures of strong liquor had been given to Kadal, the immensely powerful leader of the royal elephant stables, driving him into a ferocious rage. Nandimitra's task? To control this enraged behemoth. The entire royal court erupted in thunderous cheers. The entire royal court watched our hero, Nandimitra, with wide, unblinking eyes, their gazes fixed upon him. A cloud of dust billowed as the furious Kadal, his massive form causing the ground to tremble, charged headlong towards Nandimitra. Despite the terrifying approach of the enraged Kadal, our hero showed no sign of alarm, his gaze unwavering. The instant Kadal reached him, our Nandimitra sprang into action, seizing the elephant's tusks and forcing them down towards the ground with immense strength. An absolute silence gripped the spectators. Against all expectations, Nandimitra, with incredible strength, wrestled the massive tusks and forced the enraged elephant to submit, kneeling before him. King Kavantisa, his eyes wide with disbelief and awe at the sight of the humbled Kadal, finally uttered,
This is truly unbelievable, absolutely magnificent. After this incredible display,
the king approached Nandimitra and said to him,
Truly astonishing, Nandimitra. You have amazed us all. You are undoubtedly a man of immense strength. Never have I seen anyone like you. You must join my army without question.
Most certainly, Your Majesty. I am willing to sacrifice even my life for the sake of our land.
Without delay, Nandimitra enlisted in the king's army. His exceptional abilities soon saw him appointed as one of the 10 chief war leaders, the famed Dasa Mahalyadhaya, or 10 Great Giants, swiftly becoming a crucial element of the king's military strength. However, as a result of this incident, Kadal the elephant harbored a deep and intense hatred for Nandimitra. The deep shame of his defeat fueled a burning hatred. To never forget this humiliation, Kadal carried a coconut in his trunk, patiently biding his time for the moment he could exact his revenge on Nandimitra. As time passed, news of Nandimitra reached King Alara. Hearing that he had killed his soldiers and now served King Kavantisa in Ruhuna, the king flew into a furious rage and spoke thus to Nandimitra's uncle, General Mithra.
Mithra, were you aware that your nephew Nandimitra has murdered my men and now serves King Tissa? Let me assure you, should he ever come within my reach again, I shall strike him down where he stands.
Just then, one of the grandchildren interrupted the grandmother's story, asking, Grandma, how could Nandimitra have gotten such incredible power, like you're saying?
That great strength, my little ones, was a result of merits he accumulated in previous births. It's a fascinating tale, and one I'd be happy to share with you all.
Once, in a past life, Nandimitra was astonished to see people giving alms to peaceful individuals. He was delighted by their serene presence. As the peaceful group moved on, Nandimitra, his curiosity piqued, turned to the people who had provided the alms and inquired, Who are those noble individuals with such serene qualities? And why do you show them such deep respect and reverence? Those were not ordinary individuals. They were our most revered arahats who have just departed. In this way, the group clarified the identity of the arhats to Nandimitra. Becoming deeply interested in the arhats and filled with admiration for them, he immediately ran to the nearby marketplace that very day. Reaching the marketplace, Nandamitra immediately retrieved all the coins from his purse and made his way to a meat vendor nearby. "Hey there, do you have any deer meat for sale?" "Yes," he said. "If so, could you please give me a sufficient quantity of venison for this amount of money?" Subsequently, he took the venison he had purchased and prepared it in 5 different ways. Along with rice, he then offered this meal to a venerable arhat who was residing there at the time. Due to the great joy he experienced then, he was reborn in a heavenly realm. Later, during the time of the Buddha Kassapa, he was born in the human world again. There, through the merit of offering a special meal cooked only with milk to several arhats, Nandamitra gained such immense strength in this lifetime. With the explanation concluded, the grandmother returned to the thread of her original story. And now, we turn our attention to King Kavantisa's 2 little sons, Prince Dudagemunu and his younger brother, Prince Sadatisa. King Kavantisa desired to secure 3 promises from his 2 princes. To this end, his chief consort, Queen Viharamahadevi, prepared 3 balls of rice, intending to use them to elicit these vows. With the first ball of rice offered, Queen Viharamahadevi looked at her sons and solemnly inquired, "My children, promise me this day that you shall never, under any circumstance, forsake the Buddha Dharma or the revered Sangha." And so, both princes readily agreed, consuming the first ball of rice. Taking the second ball of rice, the queen asked, "My sons, you must never, ever let conflict arise between the 2 of you." And the 2 princes both ate this second ball of rice as well. Taking the last ball of rice, Queen Viharamahadevi asked her 2 princes, "And also, neither of you should engage in unnecessary conflicts with King Alara." The last ball of rice lay before Dudagemunu, but he did not partake. Instead, he rose, a silent statement in his action, and retreated to his bed, where he curled into a fetal position, feigning sleep. Seeing this, Queen Viharamahadevi asked Prince Dudagemunu, her voice laced with worry.
"Prince Gamunu, why are you lying there asleep like that?"
"With enemies to the north and the silent sea to the south, how can I possibly stretch out and sleep peacefully, mother?" This clearly shows that even in his little years, Prince Dudagemunu deeply considered his country, his people, and his religion. King Kavantisa summoned Nandamitra and spoke thus.
"Nandamitra, Alara's military strength grows day by day. If we remain here, simply watching, we will be able to do nothing. Therefore, we must challenge Alara with a well-devised plan. We need to organize a strong military force, gathering all the powerful individuals from every village. Nandamitra, I entrust the responsibility for this task to you. I do not have much time left. But perhaps it will benefit my son Gamanai, who will inherit the throne in the future."
"Most certainly, Your Majesty. If we challenge King Alara with a sound plan, we can undoubtedly win the battle. I will begin today to gather the strong individuals with special skills from all the villages. I will fulfill the responsibility you have entrusted to me to the letter."
And so, Nandamitra gave this reply to King Kavantisa. Thus, it becomes clear that King Kavantisa, demonstrating his keen foresight, acted with the future in mind. From this point forward, we will witness the gathering of more powerful individuals alongside Nandamitra in the king's war efforts. The arrival of Prince Dudagemunu and the unfolding situation in the Anuradhapura kingdom will determine its future course. And so, our tale pauses here. We will meet again shortly in the 2nd chapter of the Anuradhapura kingdom.